Hello, let's take a look at Exit Slip 8.1. And so I assigned this the day you had a buddy activity. So you may have done it before or after. So, that's going to vary for you. So maybe you did it before. Who knows? Maybe you did it after. It doesn't really matter that much. But keep in mind, like, why we were doing these these exit slips. The point behind exit slips is it's like a quiz where I get to see what you know, but you don't get penalized if you don't know all the stuff yet. So it's all about practicing and learning. So hopefully you did this by yourself, or if you did it with others, you learned as you went. Now, number 2. This is a big one. What is the core idea needed to solve quadratics? And the big idea is a times b equals 0 if and only if a equals 0 or b equals 0. And so that's something I keep stressing. We're going to take all these problems down here. We're going to try to convert them into multiplication problems. So let's take a look at number 3 now. We have this one, and this one we're working on turning it into a multiplication problem. But first, we want to get rid of this 2. Okay, because ultimately what we want to do is use square roots to solve that. And right now that 2 is kind of making that a little bit difficult. And also taking the square root of 18, a little awkward as well. But hey, guess what? When we get rid of the 2, we're now looking at the quantity x plus 5 squared is equal to 9. So take the square root now of both sides, and we have x plus 5 is equal to plus or minus 3. Now, that's the thing some of you may have forgotten, is that when you take a square root, it could be positive or negative. So plus 3 or minus 3. Now, we break this into 2 separate little equations, and we're going to get x plus 5 is equal to positive 3. X plus 5 equals negative 3. And subtract 5 from both sides, so x will equal negative 2, or x equals negative 8. And those are our answers for that one. Now, let's take a look at B. B is where we're going to use a little bit of factoring here. So what I'm noticing is some common factors. And that common factor, or the greatest common factor, is going to be 5x. So I'm going to extract that 5x outside. And what that gives me is 5x times the quantity, 5x plus 1 equals 0. This is a times b equals 0. It's 5x and 5x plus 1. So break these into 2 little equations because a has to equal 0 or b has to equal 0. 5x equals 0, so x equals 0 is one solution. The other one, and I did this intentionally to see if you were paying attention, it's not 5. X equals negative 1/5 because you have to subtract 1 from both sides and then divide by 5. All right, and then here, C and D. We need to factor. Okay, so put x here, x there. Think of some factors that can get us 40. I'm thinking 5 and 8. So 5 and 8. And now look at the signs. This tells me they have to be different signs. And this tells me that this one has to be the larger number has to be positive. So plus 8 minus 5, that equals 0. We break it into our 2 equations. X minus 5 equals 0. X plus 8 equals 0. And so x has to equal 5. X has to equal negative 8. Finally, we got D here. And with D, we have to make sure it's set equal to 0. So that's why I have this right here. 3x squared plus x minus 10 equals 0. All right. Now, factor it. This one's going to be a little trickier, but I kept it nice because we only have our 3x and x. And now we got to think of factors of 10 that can get us positive 1. And so I'm thinking maybe if we do 5 and 2. So because I can go 3 times 2 for 6, and then I'll have 5, and I can work that to get just 1 left over. So I'll go plus 2, so that way when I multiply these together, I get positive 6x, and then minus 5x for the positive x. And when I multiply these together, I get negative 10. Again, break it down into, so this is equal to 0. 2 separate equations, 3x minus 5 equals 0, or x plus 2 equals 0. Add 5, 3x equals 5, x equals 5/3, and then subtract 2, x equals negative 2. And there we go. That's our exit slip. Hopefully you did well on it. If not, hopefully you learned from watching me go over the exit slip.